Hey friends, welcome to the Glow Getters podcast. My name's Kayla Fahey-Ahrndt, but you can call me KFA because nobody can say that last name. I teach and inspire leaders to step into their power, productive selves, and unlock their fullest potential. I'm a multi-passionate creative and scientist who climbed to the top of the healthcare leadership ladder by age 28, making six figures as a manager. I share what I've learned that I wish I knew when I landed my first leadership role at age 25. You can find more from me on my Patreon site at patreon.com/KFA Glowgetters. Okay, now on to the show. Hey friend, thank you so much for being here for today's episode of the Glow Getters podcast. I'm pumped that you're here because we're going to be having a conversation about leading with love over fear. And it's really all about this book I've been reading called The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. So the title is The Universe Has Your Back, but the subtitle is Transform Fear to Faith. And so when I picked up this book, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And I won't lie, I started reading it like a few months ago, maybe even I'm not even sure. And I was like, I don't know, it's not resonating. But this month, I had just finished the book, The Slight Edge, and that's a very like productive based book. It's very like do these things and you'll get from X to Y and XYZ, and it's very structured. And I don't know why, but this book was calling my name off my bookshelf. And I was just like, I need to give this a chance. Maybe that was the universe talking to me there. And so I opened it up and I remembered the first couple chapters I had read. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to skim those. I was like, yep, it's all coming back. And now I'm on chapter 5. I was going to say 3, but 5. And it's about page 71 or so. And I'm like, ooh, loving this up. And so I wanted to talk about the chapter that is about your vibes. So I'm sorry, I'm just pulling my post-it if you can hear that. Your vibes speak louder than your words. Okay. So we've all heard that saying that people say that says your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So basically the energy that you put out into the world is often the energy that you get back. I know that's something that I think a lot of us have heard, but we're like, yeah, that's fine, whatever, like, whatever, no big deal. But you guys, it's a huge deal. If you're putting joy out into the world, that's going to be reflected in the way that you perceive the world, and that's what's going to come back to you. And the same holds true. If you're trying to make something happen, you're holding so tightly onto something, this is the way that things should be, then life might feel harder for you because I don't know about you, but most things don't happen the way that they should or that I think they should. They happen for other reasons. And I'm of the mindset that things always do happen for a reason. I know that might sound corny, but I do think that the things that happen to us, they whether or not they seem good or bad, they're all put in our way to lead us towards our true path. And if it feels wrong at the time, it's just a detour, but it's a detour in the right direction. And that's something that Gabby said. Obstacles are detours in the right direction. Wow. And we've talked about it before. I mean, the trajectory from here to where we're going is never a straight line. If you zoomed in on it, it's all these small course corrections in our life to get us to where we need to go. So, and something she also talks about is understanding the power of joy. She says, in reality, the more joyful we are, the more light we shine on the world, the more power we have to express our presence, and the more positive energy we put out. And she talks about how a lot of people believe that meaning or purpose in life requires struggle. And she wants to, she's trying to tell us, and this is something I believe too, is like, we don't have to struggle to be happy or to find greatness. Sure, we might, but it's not necessary. So if you're telling yourself, like, I just have to go, like, I go through this all the time, nothing's ever easy, you're kind of perpetuating that. So I just wanted to share a story about what I did to reframe a problem and how I came up with a great solution. So I thought of it from the story she was telling in the book that basically talks about this woman who was trying to find her partner, right? She's trying to find a man, and she keeps looking for a really specific man. And she's like, I don't know what happens. Like, I date these guys, and then eventually they just tell me, like, you're great, but this isn't like right. This doesn't feel right. Like, I'm not the right guy for you. And they break up, and she's devastated over and over and over. And Gabby helps her see, like, you're being really specific, and I think it's coming off into the universe as you trying to control the situation, and it doesn't feel right. So why don't you try for 3 weeks to let go of your preconceived notions of what you think should be, and be open, and just see what happens. And over the next 3 weeks, she finds that she finds happiness. She doesn't really care if she's with somebody. She's like, I'm okay with just being me. Like, I'm not trying so hard to find somebody perfect. She's like, I'm okay with where I'm at. And then all these men are like, she got really into online dating, and all these men are like, I would love to go on a date with you. So she said yes to all these dates, went out, and there was one guy that was super persistent, and it was not the type of guy that she wanted. It was like someone completely different, didn't have as much job security. He wasn't the same religion. He wasn't all the things that she thought ticked the box, right? To like the perfect guy. But then it ended up feeling like he was the perfect guy for her, and they ended up getting married. So I think that, if we try to make things happen that just aren't meant to be, life can feel like a struggle, and it's this constant battle. But if we let go and surrender a little bit to the universe, or to the vibes we really do want to put out in the world, good things can happen. So that's a story from the book. Let me tell you a story from the last few weeks. So I think I might have mentioned it on here before, but my organization has been tasked with just saving some money in different areas, and my department is one of the areas. And we were asked to save $750,000 this year in a specific area. And I will say, the first time I heard this, I was like, what? Like, no one asked me about this. Like, I don't know if it's possible, right? And I even said this to my boss. I said, if I don't believe it's possible, it's not going to happen, right? Me sitting in her office, in my chair there, being like, this has to happen, but I don't believe it can, and therefore I don't think it will. And I think it's because of the way that the request, or the mandate, I guess, came to me. It was some outside department saying, like, we think you can save this much money, therefore it's budgeted, and go save that money. And I was like, oh my gosh, this feels crazy. So for like 2 weeks, I'm trying to hold on to this idea that we have to save this much money, and I have to figure out how I'm going to share this in a way that's not going to demoralize my team, right? In a way that's, hey team, like, let's get together, let's brainstorm, let's figure out all the ways to make this happen. But honestly, I was just like, saying the words to my team, but my inner vibes and my thoughts were like, I don't know if this is really the right thing and this is possible. And I even tried to frame it as, okay, instead of focusing on the cost, we're going to focus on the quality. We're going to focus on safety. We're going to focus on doing things the right way. And I do think that is the right approach, but it was also super disciplined. And it was very like, okay, this is what we should do. This is how we should look at the problem. This is the angle we should take. And I found myself like Thursday, a couple weeks ago, like literally pacing in my office with the door shut. Like, I do not know how we're going to do this. And it was like this anxiety I had all week. It was like tapping me on the shoulder every 5 minutes. Like, this is going to be the end of you. Not really, but just like literally, like I'm in a brand new role, and I have these really, really high expectations, and it's public knowledge that I need to do this thing, and I'm gonna fail, right? I'm gonna fail. And I think when we do think that's the truth, that might be what happens, because those are the vibes that I was putting into the universe. Okay, so I'm going through all like the stages of grief, right? Throughout the last 2 weeks. So then finally on Thursday, I said to a girlfriend, I said, and I talked to my husband about this, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. Like, if it's supposed to happen, it will happen, and this other department can help me, and I'm going to ask for help, and I'm just going to like, whatever, like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And I need a beer. So it's like, asked my friend, can you go to happy hour with me tonight? So went to happy hour. We didn't talk too much shop. We just hung out. We had popcorn. We had a cider, and it was just one drink, and then we went our separate ways. But we had a good time. And I was in a social setting, which I'm an extrovert. So I was like, I'm done being in my office alone pacing. I would really like some like music, some your company to feel other people's energy around me. And I went home that night and I didn't work on any work. And I had been working super hard every night of the week the last few weeks because I have school and work and all these other commitments, right? But I surrendered. So I went to bed that night and I woke up the next morning and I had to have this meeting with my VP. And this is a meeting where I was going to tell him, this is my plan for saving 750. Mind you, when I went to bed last night, I didn't really have one except to ask for help and let this other department help me, right? So I had a couple meetings before the meeting with him and I started writing down the story. Like I have my iPad out. I'm like, okay, when I meet with him, what am I going to say? So let me write down. I need to be prepared. VPs like concise messages. They need clarity. Like, let me write it down so I can be articulate. So I start writing the story of how we got to where we're at and the opportunities that we have that we maybe are unattainable at this point and the long term and the short term vision. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're already doing something that I think could save us a really, really large chunk of change, but I don't think we're really measuring it. I have this gut feeling that I know that we're saving, but I don't know because I haven't really made the space to look at it yet, and I hadn't thought about it this week yet. And so I crunched a couple of numbers really quickly on the back of a napkin, basically, and I was like, whoa, I think I can save the money. Literally like half an hour, like a few hours before my meeting, I was like, I know how we're going to do it. I totally know how we're going to do it. So I went to my meeting that I had, and then when that was done, I did a deeper dive and I was like, yep, confirmed. Like it's all good. And so I had this written down. I pitched it to him and he was like, that's what we're going to do. That is totally what we're going to do. And guess what, guys? I looked at January's numbers, prelim, and we already saved a huge chunk of it. So I think that this is just an example of how when we try to control situations, it's hard. It like gives us these physical feelings of anxiety, like I'm sweating in my office, I'm feeling icky, like I swear I felt like I was getting sick. And then I was like, I'm surrendering and letting go because I know that the universe and I have the power to do this, and it happened. And guess what, guys? The universe works really quickly. That's something that Gabby says. When you become open and you look for a sign, the universe gives it to you if it's the right timing, right? So then it was last week, Thursday, I believe, I had a meeting with someone else that I'm working on a side project for school. And she's like, how's it going? And so I mentioned this project to her, the savings, and one area. And she was like, oh my gosh, I have a contact you should reach out to. And they have some really good ideas for this. I've heard them talk about it. I've seen financial spreadsheets. I'm like, okay, that sounds actually really legit. She connected me. On Friday, I'm having a conversation with this guy, and he's sending me like an analysis he did a couple of years ago with like hard opportunity, like when I say hard, like firm, clear opportunities where we can save and do better and have more quality and cultural change to make sure our the practice that we have is more standard. So I was like, holy crap. Not only did I go from, I don't know how we're going to save this is a crazy request, to multiple ways that we could save this money. So I just want to summarize using the points in the back of this chapter because I think it's so helpful. She says, get out of the way of the universe, ask the universe for help. Step back and let the universe lead the way. So I think often it's our own thoughts that get in the way of seeing something in a different way. The second thing that I love, love, love that she said, especially because I'm a scientist, she used sciencey words. She says, calibrate your energy through meditation. And this is something that I definitely do and I'm getting into more. And I do in different ways. But like this morning I woke up and I was like, universe, God, like give me, be with me today and let me see the positive things in my day and let me find joy in my day and let me be present in all aspects of my day and not crowd my brain with distractions or other thoughts that are unnecessary thoughts, like all the clutter thoughts that I have of the to-do list. Um, but calibrating, I was like, oh my gosh, think about it as like an instrument that I have at work. It's like, or tuning your car. You have to calibrate it every once in a while because it gets off just a little bit. So we're just like that. We just have to like regroup and calibrate. So calibrating your energy so it can be kind of reset or like just shifted back a little bit to where it needs to be to put out these positive vibes. And the third point is set the intention to connect with your presence. Energy flows where your intention goes. So I've heard this saying, what you focus on grows. If you are intentional about finding joy in a situation, you're going to find it. If you're intentional about solving a problem, but knowing that you might not have the answer right away, and it might come not come from, your brain in this moment, you'll find it, and your energy will bring that same type of energy back to you. Point number four, understand the power of joy. Remember that joy is a catalyst for all good in the world. Oh, and lean toward joy. So, um, this is huge. There's like white papers. There's this white paper on the joy in the workplace. Um, People get weird about the word joy because I think they're like happy, happy, joy, joy. Like they think it's a weird word because it's not used. I don't know, maybe it's super mainstream or it's used in what feels like a woo-woo way. But I think joy is, for me, being 100% present in what I'm doing, finding those small moments of greatness in other people and situations in myself, and kind of thinking internally, like, being present and watching what's happening in front of me and seeing like the good that's happening, like that energy that flows within you that says, like, no matter what happens today, I am joyful. I'm not going to sweat the small stuff, right? I'm going to lean into the good. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet point: celebrate the support of the universe and enjoy the synchronicity, guidance, and gentle reminders that you're on the right path. Guys, if with my example, come up with an idea like this, celebrate and recognize the juxtaposition of your discipline and your surrender, and know that you need both. And if you think about discipline and surrender as a Venn diagram, my boss showed me this. So discipline's one circle, surrender's the other circle. In the middle, you find flow. So you definitely need some discipline. You definitely need some surrender. When you find the right balance back and forth in the middle, you find flow. So I actually did an episode on this. I'm trying to think what episode it was. I didn't have it teed up because I didn't think I was going to talk about it, but you can check it out. Let's see. It's episode number 10. It's called Grit and Grace. Do you need both? But it's basically it's about discipline or surrender. And I talk about how it's the same thing. So guys, if you're struggling with a decision you need to make, or if you're trying to find the right house for you, or like the right partner, or like a better way to do something, like take a step back and ask for help from God or the universe or whatever you believe in. Take some time to rest your brain so you can make those neural connections between all the cool ideas that you have. Maybe do something creative, and then it will come to you. It will come to you. And seek joy. Seek joy. Remember to be kind always, and you're going to be in a good, vibing, positive headspace that the good and the energy that you deserve will come back to you. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Talk to you soon. Until next time, be a light in the world.
Whoa, that went by way too fast. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Glow Getters Podcast. You can get the bonus content for this podcast at my Patreon site at www.patreon.kfaglowgetters. And also you can check me out on Instagram at Kayla Fahey-Ahrndt. All right, everyone, until next time, be a light in the world. Talk to you soon.